Hey folks, I'm going to do another simulated human torso ballistics test. All the rounds are going to be fired out of my short-barreled LCR 357 Magnum. It's the same ballistics test with 11 inches of chest cavity from the front rib to the back rib, covered in jean shorts and tape, and fired from this little 1.87 inch snub nose barrel of the LCR 357. Let me show you the ammo that I'm going to be testing today. Both of these are Lehigh Defense rounds. I use Lehigh Defense maximum expansion bullet in my 9mm carry guns. I've fully tested those 9mm maximum expansion bullets in the ballistic simulated human torso ballistics test setup several times, and I'm real confident in those. So now I'm going to see what this 357 and 38 special plus P ammo does. Okay, the first two rounds I'm going to be firing is this one right here. It's the 38 special plus P 100 grain maximum expansion bullet. Here's the package. The package just says 38 special. It doesn't say plus P, but on their website they clearly say it's plus P ammo. This is the 9mm right beside it that I already carry in my 9mm guns, and it works extremely well in the 9mm. If you look at this, it looks like the 38 special. The bullet itself is going to be just a hair larger, not much. And of course the casing's different between the 9mm and the 38 special plus P. So just showing you that for comparison. I expect that to expand out to 0.85 inches or so as it goes through the gel, and probably embed into the back ribs is a penetration I expect on that. We'll have to see what happens. This other bullet here is a 357 Magnum 140 grain Xtreme Penetrator. This has a solid tip. This is not a hollow point. It will not expand, but they say that tip design creates pressure waves in fluid medium, that it's going to look a lot like a hollow point damage when it goes through the gel, but it's supposed to penetrate extremely deeply. So I'm going to test that out and see if it does or does not. I doubt that this will be my normal carry ammo, but if it does good damage similar to hollow point plus penetrates deeply, then I might carry a few speed strips of this around with me, just in case I'd ever get into a situation where I did need to penetrate through things, such as cars or whatever. If I get in that kind of situation, I could take that out and load it up in my gun. So anyhow, that's the two bullets I'm going to be testing. I'm going to do 2 rounds of, first 2 shots I do is going to be the 38 special plus P maximum expansion bullet. Second 2 rounds in the gel is going to be the 357 Magnum Xtreme Penetrator bullet. Okay, just showing I've got my standard set up, except this one's actually a little bit wider than 11 inches, so this is an extremely wide torso, a lot wider. Remember, 9.5 is average human torso depth, so this one's 11 to 11 and a half. So if we don't get full penetration on this, it's because I made my block a lot bigger than I intended to. So 11 to 11 and a half inches on this one. I meant to make that a 10 and a half to 11, but ribs were thicker than I thought, I guess. So in any event, that's the test. Okay, first shot is Lehigh Defense 100 grain 38 special plus P maximum expanding bullet. Second shot's the same bullet type. Third shot is going to be the Lehigh Defense 140 grain 357 Magnum Xtreme Penetrator bullet. And the fourth shot's going to be another Xtreme Penetrator bullet. All right. Now, show you my setup here. since I have the deep penetrator bullets, I'll put a great big gel block in back. So remember, we got 11.5 inches of torso. We can see the Xtreme penetrator bullets went in a lot further. I can see at least one of them. I'll dissect it and see if any of the others did. So anyhow, let me get it up on the bench and I will dissect this and see what we get. Okay, just showing the front. This one and this one was Lehigh Defense maximum expansion bullets. This one and this one is the Lehigh Defense Xtreme penetrator bullets. Now, so I've seen something interesting already. There's only one bullet into the back gel block, which I expected both them Xtreme penetrators to get into this back block. This went back another, it's like about 7.5 inches, so that would be what, 11 plus 7.5 would be 18.5 inches penetration on that one. But the lower one, there is no other bullet in that back block, so I don't know what in the world. Now it looks like something may have went in right there. I'm just wondering if that veered off. Yeah, I think it did. Something went in right there. So I got a feeling that bottom shot was curving off and went straight out of the gel block. So it must have did a right hand turn inside that gel and veered off and went off somewhere. After I'm done with this, I'll see if I can find it on the ground back there anywhere, but I doubt it, because that probably still had enough velocity to go a little ways, so we'll see. Okay, now I took the jean shorts off. This is how the ribs were laying in there. You can see the two maximum expansion bullets did not make it to the back rib. If I'd had this a normal human chest size, they would have embedded in the back rib, which is what the 9mm maximum expansion bullets did. So that went up to 8.5 inches from the front rib. That went to 8 inches in the front rib. So they do not penetrate through to the back rib. Now you can see the wound path of both of those, which would be this one and this one. Nice wide wound path there, kind of tapered off there at the very end, but nice wound path over probably about 3/4 of the way through the block. This one over here is the first Xtreme penetration bullet. That widened. See how they claim that even though it's not a hollow point, it'll create a wound cavity similar to a hollow point. That indeed did do that. That wound path right there in that area is probably a little bit wider than the maximum expansion bullets. Let me just eyeball it here. Yeah, that maximum wound track there is about 1 inch. If I go over here to the maximum expansion bullet and eyeball it, I've got about 3/4 of an inch. So this one actually bloomed out wider than the maximum expansion bullets, even though it wasn't a hollow point. The bottom track, however, did not. That's the one that veered off. See how I thought it veered off and went outside the block on the back? See there, it went through this way and then veered out the very side of that back block. So I was not able to capture that bullet. So that's interesting. So the second Xtreme penetrator, who knows how deep it would have went, but it did not create the wound cavity like the first one did. So I'll have to shoot a few more of those before I'm going to trust that they'll actually make a good wound cavity. But that one made a hell of a wound cavity, bigger than the maximum expansion bullets, it looked like. So anyhow, okay, let's see what damage it did on the front. This is the first maximum expanding bullet. Pretty good chunk of meat taken out on the back. This will be the second maximum expansion bullet. Really good chunk of meat taken out on the back of that. This would be the third bullet, which would be the Xtreme Penetrator, went straight through the middle of the ribs. The only one that's hit the ribs so far is this second maximum expansion bullet, and it broke the ribs. That one missed the rib, that one missed the rib, and the last Xtreme Penetrator missed a rib. That's unusual. Usually when I shoot four bullets, one or two of them or three of them is gonna hit the rib. All of them left pretty good gash. I think there was something wrong with that last penetrating bullet I shot. It just did not do the same as the first one. I'm just wondering if that had a bad load in it, is my guess. I'm thinking that had a bad load in it. But in any event, it didn't do near the blowout on the back. As you saw, it veered off and went out of the gel block. So I think there was something squirrely with that second Xtreme Penetrator. Okay, now the only bullet that cleanly went through a bunch of the back gel block was the first Xtreme Penetrator. As you can see, it took out a chunk of that bone on the back and did go cleanly through the ribs. Entrance and exit wounds about the same on that one. But as you can see through the gel block, it had tapered off on its damage permanent wound channel by the time it got to the ribs. But it did indeed go through there. This would have been the other one. It did penetrate all the way through the back rib, but it was right at the very outside edge of the block and just barely caught a little bit of that block and went off somewhere else. Who knows? So anyhow, let me clean off the gunk from this gel block and get a closer look at the wound paths. Okay, I cleaned off the top of that. Maybe you can see the wound tracks a little bit better. There's that deep Xtreme Penetrator one. Like I said, that at the maximum spot there's 1 inch. These are both about 3/4 of an inch from here on back, and then they taper off. Both of them taper off. This is where you can kind of tell them maximum expansion bullets. See the big X it cuts in there? Cuts a big OX where them petals have expanded out. You can see that on both of them. This one's a little bit harder for me to get to here. Anyhow, big OX pattern. Now these do not. You got a little bitty hole where that Xtreme Penetrator went in on both of them. You can't really see the damage too much. You can see a little. You can actually see a little bit of an X shape there too, but not near as distinct as these two big gashes. They really cut a big gash. That's about a 0.85 inch gash in each or 0.85 in each direction there. So get what we expected there. Nothing to see here since these two's the only ones that penetrated, and they left little bitty holes in the back. So let me get the bullets cut out that did expand and we'll measure them up. Okay, I dug the bullets out, so ignore on the very end there where you see the bulbs where I took the bullets out. But something interesting here is, you see this one right here that I said didn't look like it expanded at all? That was the Xtreme Penetrator. Whereas it looked like this Xtreme Penetrator expanded a shitload. Well, when you look on the side, the bottom Xtreme Penetrator expanded in this direction, whereas this one didn't expand that much in that direction. So it looks like the Xtreme Penetrator still blossoms out in one direction, it's just not 360 degrees. So if you look at it from there, it didn't look like it expanded very much. You look at it from there, it looks like it expanded out just fine. So they are not uniform. And see, the top Xtreme Penetrator doesn't look like it's got near as wide of a path from the side view, but from the top view, it blossomed out big time. So it's not uniform in those. If we look at the two maximum expansion bullets, which is the two on that side, both of those show a good wide path in both directions. It's because of those 4 wide expanding leaves on those petals. So that gives a good wound track in both axes, whereas the Xtreme penetrators may just blossom out in one direction or the other, as indicated here. That one looks fat, that one looks skinny. Turn it on its side, look at the same two. That one looks skinny, and that one looks fat. So bottom line is, it looks like either the Xtreme penetrator or the maximum expansion puts a pretty good wound path. If you're looking in the hard area, which is in, you know, from the back of the front ribs to about right there, I'd say the maximum expanding bullets did a lot more damage. Of course, they did not penetrate into the back rib. Now keep in mind, this block was thicker than I intended to make it, so with the right size chest cavity, it probably would have just embedded in the back ribs, which is what the 9mm maximum expanding bullets do. So in any event, this is one of the recovered Xtreme penetrators. As you can see, it's untouched, essentially. That's not a hollow point bullet. It's a solid bullet. And it did, what do we say, 18 and a half inches through 11 and a half inches of chest cavity, and 7.5. So that's 19 inches. So 19 inches of complete penetration on the one that didn't veer off and go outside the block. The other one, remember, veered off and went outside the block. The 2 Lehigh Defense maximum expanding bullets. It's got some duct tape and denim in the middle of it, but it did fully expand. I'll mic that out in a minute to show you how big that is. The second bullet did not quite fully expand. It's also got duct tape and denim in the middle. Not quite expanded all the way out. So I'll mic those two out here and see what they measure. Okay. Mic these out. Right there, 0.78 inches. I think that's exactly the same number I got on the 9mm rounds, so the bullets themselves must be the same on these. And this one's not going to be quite as wide because it didn't fully expand. 0.63 it looked like. Let me do that again. 0.65. 0.65, what did I say, 0.79? On the 9mm rounds, the extensive testing I've done on those, they expand pretty reliably. Every once in a blue moon, I'd get one like this that wasn't quite fully expand, but I'd say, you know, 98% of the times, or 95% of the time, they fully expand. I expect the same will be true in this 357, or in this 38 Special Plus P round too. So anyhow, that's it. I'm just not sure. I think maybe I'm going to carry these maximum expansion bullets. Probably most of the time. I'm not sure. The 357 Magnum load from Buffalo Bore for the short barrel worked pretty good too. It didn't leave quite as wide of a wound path, but it penetrated deeply every single time. So I'm a little bit torn on which round I might ultimately decide on. I have to think about it a little bit. But either one is going to do the job. I wouldn't use these. Well, you know, these didn't penetrate that much deeper than the short barrel standard 357 Magnum round that I tested the other day. So I don't see any need for these Xtreme penetrators. I don't think they penetrate that much deeper than the standard 357 Magnum round hollow point that I've already tested. That's made for the short barrel pistol. Now maybe they would in a longer barrel gun. Maybe these Xtreme penetrators would go deeper, but in the short barrel pistol, they just went a little bit deeper, a few inches deeper than the standard short barrel 357 Magnum round that I've already tested. So I think it's down to either that round or these maximum expansion 38 Special Plus Ps. I have to decide. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to decide yet. So anyhow, that's the rundown.